Hello, theme park fans, and welcome to episode 95 of the E-Ticket Report. My name is Chris Wakefield, and I am joined by my co-hosts, Ryan Barr.
Howdy.
And Tommy Hawkins, very loud fan.
Hello.
So we got a very special show. This is our year in review show, our 2024 year in review show. And the initial thought process was, well, not that much happened this year, but as we began to look at the stories in the year in theme parks and themed entertainment, it turns out a lot of things really did happen this year. So we're going to break down...
Nothing really happened.
A lot happened. We're going to break down our top 10 theme park and themed entertainment news stories from 2024. Now, Ryan and Tommy have not seen this list. They have not seen what's been ranked and where it's placed. So this will be a bit of an adventure. So I'll start us off easy here. Our 10th biggest news story for 2024 is EPCOT and the quote-unquote completion of the reimagining of EPCOT. We were told in June by Disney, EPCOT is finished. We did it. We overhauled it. You got Ratatouille. You got the Moana fountain. You got the weird food court mall thingy in the middle where the fountain was and the lights sometimes work. Ryan, what's your biggest positive from the completion, quote-unquote, of new Epcot? Diet Epcot.
Oh. Well, I think it might be a hot take, but I like the center, the exact middle of, what used to be Innovations Plaza, Communicore Plaza. I think that's an improvement over what used to be there with the tent pin trading stand. I don't know. I do miss the music that would play there, of course, and the music that would play for the Fountain of Nations show. And now we have just a blank space like hallway and a DJ dance party all night right in the middle. So that kind of changes the atmosphere a lot. I'd have to go there in person to actually give it a good, judgment. I'll miss.
And what's your low light? What's the one? What were you most disappointed by from this overhaul?
I'd have to point to Communicore Hall. That thing is trash.
Tommy, what's your biggest takeaway, your biggest positive from new Epcot?
Well, we got Rewind. So, to me, it's the best Disney ride they've got there.
It's a very good point. Very, very good point.
First of all. Secondly, we got that whole redo of Connections, which I really like being in there. I was
going to bring that up.
Yeah, and I would say, as you know, as I've spoken about on the show for quite a few years, I'm not the biggest fan of Epcot, but just generally the vibe in the park and just what they've done on that first bit is excellent. And like me and Jay, last time I was out there, we went there at night. Yeah, some of the lights weren't working, but that's just because some dickhead used a jet washer on the lights and fucked them up, right? I don't really obviously like this, whatever this other thing is. It looks like it could be used for an ice skating rink at the moment. I'm disappointed we didn't get the pavilion, the whatever it's called. What was it called?
Yeah,
I call it the Garden Bridge Pavilion because it kind of looked like a bridge that Boris tried to build in London.
Yeah,
now we were
supposed to get a real festival pavilion. Considering the Wonders of Life is closed forever, probably.
Well, the biggest negative in that whole area for me is the weird stumps that kind of look like rebar for that pavilion, because they're the same shape as the legs on what was supposed to be built in the concept art, and it just feels like they've just left the rebar and fucked off. So,
like, you mean where the stage is?
There's like an area, where the spinning acrobatics kind of show, and there's these they sort of look like a little bit, I don't know if they're supposed to be like shades or trees, but they're just these rusty looking things, and for me it just looks a bit shit, and it just looks like like they started a project and didn't finish it. So for me, that's the biggest downside. But I actually like going to Epcot. This last trip, I spent more days there than anywhere else for Disney. So for me, it's not as bad as all you fanboys are making out, I personally think.
Yeah, it's overall an improvement over, I would say, the years 2000 through whenever this started.
I think more of the gripe was that we lost the center of Epcot for how many years for this construction, and when they reopened, it was kind of like, that's it? And
Yeah.
once again, I think people are allowed to be disappointed because what was promised was not what was delivered. And if we're going to keep holding Disney accountable, and if they're going to keep raising prices, we can call it fanboys getting upset, or we can call it what it actually is, and it's them under-delivering. And I think a paying audience has the right to be upset by that, which apparently is a radical idea in 2024.
We didn't get the Play Pavilion. Going back to Wonders of Life, there is a lot of broken promises.
Yeah.
A lot of things changed with this project. A lot of budget cuts.
Well, COVID
And
happened,
unfortunately,
and they were
COVID
closed for a
happened,
couple of
too.
months. So, 2 months set them back 3 years.
Definitely.
Definitely. Any other thoughts about the new Epcot overhaul? Moana, Ratatouille in the back of the park in Paris. We got a +1 in the ride count for a rare instance with the addition of Ratatouille.
In World Showcase. Yeah, I like Ratatouille a lot. I like it. A++. I'll go back to Communicore Hall for a second. It was empty for most of the last 6 months, but now they finally put a gingerbread spaceship Earth in there. It's and it looks a little festive, They did something for once.
We were told, just wait till there's something in there and it actually opens. It'll look better. Just wait till it opens up. Just give it time, and then it finally opened, and oh my God.
It finally did.
All right, let's go to our next news story, the 9th biggest news story for 2024. I think it's a big story. I think it's important. And I think it's Fast and the Furious, new coaster opening up at Universal Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That is.
Okay.
I just didn't have any slides prepared for that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I agree. Yes, I forgot about that.
That's insane.
We lost you there for a second.
I was just marveling at how they're building this coaster in the middle of a theme park on the side of a mountain, and how insane that is.
It is nuts. Like, we were told for years, they'll never do that. They'll never put a coaster on the side of the mountain. And they're putting the most insane coaster on the side of the mountain. Like, this thing looks nuts. The coaster car itself, with different cars on it, is wild. I didn't think they'd go that far.
Yeah, well, it's the same as Cosmic Rewind, isn't it? Like the independently spinning, like movable, aimable.
Yeah,
so you can adjust
I feel like this one is a lot more precise, though.
I think they're about the same.
Like with Guardians of the Galaxy, it seems like gravity kind of controls the spinning a bit, but
no, it's all motorized, isn't it?
Not entirely, I don't think. Not the whole ride. There are times where it spins you into place.
Well, that's just them taking it out of gear or whatever, isn't it? So it can free spin, but
yeah, we'll see.
It's entirely aimable. But my only thing is the layout for this isn't especially great. From what I've seen, what Austin's done, it's just because we was looking at it before the layout dropped, and it could have been really interesting. They could have really made use of the drifting thing, but this just kind of goes down the hill and back up the hill. Like, it's not as exciting as it could be. I get this, space constraints, and I get it. It's a massive deal for a park that basically doesn't have any form of exciting roller coaster, but in a sea of roller coasters like we've got in Florida, it'll be okay. It's great for them, but we'll see how the tech gets transferred back to Ride Rocket replacement.
Is that
very interesting?
Yeah, that's the rumor. right? That it's going to. But why not replace the actual Fast and Furious ride that sucks?
Well, we don't know if that's what they might do.
Rip Ride Rocket all the way to San Francisco.
I put a layout out that it could do something like that, or it could basically you use Fast and Furious building as like you start and finish, and then you go out and back, and then kind of do like a dog leg back out to the front of the park, Blue Man Group, and then back. They could do something like that. That they might not, but that could be exciting. Or it could be themed to something else. It could be themed to Wicked, as everyone seems to think that that's what's going in every single Universal park around the world.
What if it was Ghostbusters and it was like the Ecto-1's cars?
Yeah, that's what I
God.
kind of semi-seriously put out sometime this year. Don't think it's that, but it would be super fun if it was.
The big, Marshmallow Man in New York.
I can't remember what
that
that other.
Be in New York. Like, can we stop putting Hollywood themed coasters in the New York area of the park?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's important again for Universal Hollywood, for that park to have a ride of this scale and this size. Like Tommy said, there's not a ton really in that park, so I think anything is an improvement, and not having to sacrifice an existing ride forward is always a win in my book. Any other thoughts about Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift? Opening 2026, by the way.
It'll probably make me take my first trip out to Hollywood.
Isn't it mad that that ride will be opened and finished? And like you said, they're building it on a freaking mountain. That ride will be finished and open, and it started late last year or whenever it was, start of this year, and yet Disneyland Paris still won't have the one Maelstrom clone and the lagoon open until 2026 as well.
That's nuts.
It's fascinating. We were in Hollywood.
That started before the pandemic.
Yeah. We were in Universal Hollywood back in May, I think it was, with my daughter, and they were so far along already. I mean, they already had concrete poured and fences up, and it was the pace, as usual with Universal, is fascinating at which they're building.
It is. Yeah, and it's only taking up an old theater that wasn't being used.
Right.
And the mountainside.
Very much so. All
Very
right,
fun.
story number 8.
Oh, number 8 already. Wow.
Story number 8. A lot of people were very, very intrigued by this, cautious, upset, weary, and they were fascinated when they learned that the Country Bears were going to be singing country music. But it was countrified Disney music. Our 8th biggest story of 2024. Have you seen this yet, Ryan?
Yes. Online. I don't know if I'll ever want to see it in person, no.
Really?
Not after...
You don't want to hear them sing the Shakira song?
Yeah, that's the worst part of it for me, is that's Shakira's song. Try everything.
Oh my gosh.
Can we take a step back in time a minute and remember, let's take a minute to remember how Disney on the Parks blog literally called out, what was the words they use? Unscrupulous characters.
Yes.
Our bestie, Mr. Corliss, for floating this rumour and causing like a pitchfork crowd situation. That wasn't it that he rumoured that it was closing or wasn't it a reskin to Toy Story marionette show or something like that?
Yes.
So basically, what I'm getting at is that the overall thing was modernising a classic with something more modern and more relevant to the audience. And he went mental, didn't he? How's he been this time?
Oh, he didn't like this. I don't think he liked this. But I'll give them credit. The animatronics look way better. They look brand new. And the new outfits are pretty fun.
There's also the fact that the turnaround on that, how quick was that? Only seemed to be...
It's pretty fast.
Like a few months.
For Disney, that's basically I didn't that's like an Amazon Prime delivery.
Yeah. I didn't think they'd be able to reprogram all the animatronics. They didn't really have to. Because all their movements are pretty simple. But
right.
So they
but
did the bare
it's
minimum
like they
in
did.
terms of the movement, just upgraded.
I get it. The bare minimum. Good one.
Oh yeah. But
Nice. I think that a lot of the negativity surrounding this was just that they were singing these out of place Disney songs without really a common thread, and I'm fine with losing songs that we've loved over the last 40 years. That's okay. I can live with that if you replace it with something better. This didn't seem something better. It just seemed something different.
Yeah, they just wanted. It's all about crowd manipulation these days. They
think someone's going to watch that show and then walk out and buy a Disney Plus subscription. That's what their thought process is. They're going to go, oh my God, I love that song so much. I've got to sign up for Disney Plus right now.
Yeah, that's the goal every time.
Well, that might be the goal, but I don't think that's what's driving this for me. I just think it's an attraction that, apart from your diehards, that, like you said, have been going to see it for 40 years, hasn't really got much appeal, and they've just tried to do something that can distribute some people in the park a little bit more, so they can take a little bit of pressure off of the lightning lanes, so people don't get pissed off and stop buying lightning lanes.
Yeah,
or whatever the new name will be.
It needed to be done. It was either this or it would close entirely, I think, because the source material of the original show isn't the most entertaining thing for today's modern crowd, especially a foreign crowd.
Yes. Are we ready for story number 7?
Sure.
A lot of enthusiasm behind here. My gosh. Jeez.
It's the anticipation, because like you said, I've not even seen this list, let alone know what you're going to say. So
I gotta press every time we move on.
There's a new land that opened up in 2024, but it wasn't in America. It wasn't even in this hemisphere. It was in Tokyo, and it was called Fantasy Springs, and it's an amazing new fairy tale themed land, classic Disney fairy tale themed land, where American and Western Disney fans could get a glimpse of all the great new animatronics and technology that we'll never ever see in this continent for the next 20 years probably. Is it enough, Ryan, to get you to go over there?
We'll see.
It's got its own theme song. The land has its own theme song.
It's not really my I'm not really the target demographic for this, but it is mind-blowing how immersive it looks.
And to give you a kind of a clue in here, it's in Tokyo, like I said, at Tokyo Disney. It has a Frozen land, a Rapunzel land, a Peter Pan's Neverland. It's chock full of these classic Disney stories with amazing technology.
And a hotel is attached to it.
And a hotel, yes, the Fantasy Springs Hotel. Restaurants, entertainment shows, attractions, obviously. Rapunzel's Lantern Festival. The Frozen ride is very different than the Frozen ride in Orlando, yes?
Yes, massively different. Better by a long shot.
Is it the same one that they're putting in Paris, like the extended one, or is it a completely different ride system sort of thing?
It's a completely different ride system, different boats, bigger boats, better animatronics.
Projection. That's a takeaway. These animatronics are amazing.
Hey, if we ever get around to my Europa trip report, I can talk to you about like amazing dark rides and great animatronics in just a short half the amount of hours probably traveling plane ride away. If you fancy it.
I've seen plenty of people cry when they're in there, and I'm sure I would too if I had any connection to it. But man, there's like a Rapunzel tower with Rapunzel sticking out singing, an animatronic. It's amazing.
In Rapunzel's forest.
There's a ride, Rapunzel boat ride. It's not very long. There's 2 headliner attractions. I think Peter Pan and Frozen are the major ones.
Yes, Peter Pan's Neverland Adventure.
Tinkerbell and Rapunzel rides are on the smaller C-ticket side, but the whole land being in addition to an already probably one of the best theme parks, or the best theme park in the world at Disney Sea, It's wild.
It's not fair. It's just not fair that they get all this amazing stuff.
No.
It's unreal. Ryan, what would it take to get you to go out to Tokyo? Is it just the matter of someone giving you a free flight, or
more than enough? I was already willing
Okay.
to go. It's just, yeah, I don't have the money.
Okay. None of us do. It's okay.
Yeah.
None of us do. Tommy, any big takeaways from Fantasy Springs? You're closer than we are.
I'm closer, but it doesn't mean I'm any more interested. I don't know. It looked good. I just think that if you take off the hype and the hyperbole of like everyone saying how amazing it is, it's probably pretty good. But then Pandora's pretty good. I know it's old hat now.
It's like two Pandoras. It's
Yeah,
like
but what I'm saying is, at the end of the
Wizarding
day,
Worlds.
I think it would probably just frustrate me because to me it is comparable to Pandora, whether you're emotionally invested into whatever the IP is or not. But what frustrates me is if they'd done Pandora and then continuously followed it up with stuff of that same level that covered all the different bases for all the different interests of people, including stuff like updating Magic Kingdom to be more like Fantasy Springs and all the rest of it, then we wouldn't have much bad
aren't they
things to
already
say
doing
about
that?
Disney World, really, would we?
Aren't they doing that? They did the Beauty and the Beast ride. They're redoing their Space Mountain. They'll get
Japan.
there. Yes.
Yeah, so they're doing it on their relatively younger rides, but East Coast, absolutely not.
No.
And you can't possibly even dream of touching West Coast. You can't touch the museum park, can you? That would be sacrilege.
Yeah. You can build a wall animatronic though.
Oh, is that in the list? Is that a
see.
bonus one?
We'll see. All right, let's go. What story number are we on here, Ryan? 6? Story number
I think
6.
so.
This is something Tommy might like. Let's see if we can get something positive out of Tommy tonight. Finally, we got the opening in Orlando and eventually in California of Tiana's Bayou Adventure Boat Ride. After years of having to hear Splash Mountain fanatics cry and piss and moan, this attraction finally opened up, and I've heard sometimes it actually works.
Yeah.
I think in Disneyland it works more often than Disney World, and that's interesting considering Disneyland's opened sooner and less turnaround.
But did you notice that, like, people didn't take to the streets when it opened?
More recently.
Like, there wasn't, like, a riot.
In joy or in anger?
In anger. Like, it wasn't, like, people were like, oh, it's just fine. It's a nice ride. Like, there wasn't...
Yeah.
They never promised reinventing the wheel. It was just... Everyone else put the last ride on a freaking pedestal, and then whatever came next wouldn't have been able to live up to it. But yeah, obviously it's got its... I'm trying to be positive here because you just called me out for being negative. It's got its issues, but then that's what happens when you decide to not start from scratch, from the ground up, and build something fresh that you could have fixed the first time. However, are we 5 years this week into the anniversary of Rise, the ride that was built from the ground up and still doesn't fucking work properly? So it swings and roundabouts, really. It just seems that Disney can't seem to build much that doesn't have hours and hours of downtime, except my actual personal favourite, Cosmic Rewind, because they just built a roller coaster and it works. Job done.
Yeah. Ratatouille seems to work most of the time.
Yeah, but how old? That's like a... Well, it's been at least 10 years since I rode Ratatouille, and that wasn't a new ride.
Get away from trackless rides. They don't impress me at all, unless it's Mystic Manor.
Yes,
but
agree.
Tiana's, I haven't ridden it obviously, but I like it. I'll miss Splash Mountain.
Whoa, you racist! Wait a second.
Don't shoot me.
Breaking news. Put the MAGA hat on.
But yeah,
Simpler
Disney
times,
is having
man.
issues with their animatronics.
Can I just a little bit of a tangent here with Splash Mountain? We all wrote it like in the 90s and in the 2000s, our childhoods. We grew up writing it, right? Teenage years, early 20s, we all wrote it. And like, oh, this is the kind of thing. And then like 5 years ago, someone said, that's racist. And we all just kind of went, yeah, it is racist. Like, you wrote that thing for 20 fucking years and had no issue with it. Then you logged on to Twitter one day and was like, wait a second, I've always hated that ride. Stop it. Stop pretending.
No,
Yeah.
I
Stop
didn't.
pretending.
I didn't ride it as a kid. I didn't ride it as a teenager. I didn't ride it in my 20s. I pretty much from the get-go did not like it and could see what it was all about. So you can say that, but you can just put that down to sort of naivety of youth. As an adult,
Yes.
no, for a while it's fucking extremely problematic, and you get on the ride and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like the whole, like, it's a metaphor for slaves, 100%. It is.
Oh,
And
running from
how did
home.
they get away with it? It's more the question of how the fuck
So
did
are
they get
you-
away with
are-
it?
Are you telling me Tony Baxter was trying to send a message to black people to not run away from the plantation?
Do what?
Was that his intention? Is Tony Baxter racist?
Who knows? They're all coming out now. Who's the voice of Mickey Mouse? Is it the voice of...
No, it's Jim
No.
Cummings.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah,
voice
that
of
guy.
Cougar.
They're all
Yes,
coming out.
this is.
They're all
Oh
doing
my
They're all
god!
doing a MAGA coming out now, aren't they?
Like, you're Winnie the Pooh. You can't be a dick. You're Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, like it seems like National Coming Out Day this year was
Oh, my
like
gosh.
November 6th, and it was all the people suddenly coming out feeling emboldened about their change of political persuasions. So, who knows? We'll leave that one for another time.
Maybe
All right.
Disney will focus their effort into more fruitful endeavors in the future. Like, this probably cost a ton of money to do these overhauls to Splash Mountain. Maybe spread that
I'm
money
just
around.
going to carry on sitting in the kind of the space of common sense. I know right now, apparently, it's fashionable to be anti-woke, and it's gone too far. How about you just have a bit of fucking common decency and just recognise that a ride was problematic and probably should have gone, and just leave it at that.
Yeah,
Just leave it at
sometimes
that.
it just is what it is. It is. Sometimes it just is what they tell you it is.
Right. I don't think you are a racist if you miss the ride or if you like the ride as a kid. I don't think that makes you a racist. I think you begin to blur the line when you say you want it back and Tiana is DEI, and then you start blurring those lines a little bit of, okay, you're fighting for this thing a little bit too hard, and people have told you it's hurtful to them, and you're still trying to fight that battle. Now you're starting to blur those lines.
But if everyone listens back to the show, we've been basically saying the same thing, that if you're protesting too much, or you're straight out lying and saying, well, Tiana deserves her own
Yeah.
ride, like, no.
No.
Let's
No.
just be honest about it.
This is her own ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, like couldn't Tony Baxter have made Splash Mountain based on anything else? Like, god damn.
Well,
Could've
didn't he want to
avoided
build he wanted to build, what was the Big Thunder Mountain thing with the racist caricatures
Oh, that
of
was
the
the
natives in it?
alternative, wasn't it? Wasn't it the
That
other
was-
thing that's actually just as
Western
problematic?
River Expedition.
Yes, Western River Expedition. So maybe he is got an issue here with different races. All right, let's go to our fifth biggest news story. And when I rank these, I'm looking at what broke through with the national audience. What did the media talk about? What was on Twitter outside of our little bubble? What penetrated the zeitgeist, so to speak? And this one, I feel like it did. This is going to be a real turning point in the magnitude of news stories, and that is the changes to the Disney DAS system, where we saw a huge uproar of people who, before these changes, were able to get a DAS pass, now could not. And I'm still not clear on what those restrictions are, or who is and who is not allowed to get this skip the line pass, as it's called in certain parlances.
Disney is even sure themselves.
We're seeing people with stage 4 cancer being told, get in the line, get in the line, Ed, be quiet. What's up here?
Got to crack down on the liars. First of all, there were some numbers put out that something like at any point in time, the most popular attraction, 60% of the Lightning Lane attraction was being used by those DAS passes.
Yes,
and
pre-change.
Yeah, and then suddenly they go through this change, and wait times drastically drop. It's nuts.
I think
people were saying I need a pass because I have anxiety. I need a pass because I have restless leg syndrome. I need a pass because I have narcolepsy. I need a pass because almost anything. And Disney said this is getting out of control. It's being abused, and they try to fix it. And as usual, when things try to get fixed by a big corporation, you end up hurting people also, who may or may not actually need that pass, have been left out to wait in regular standby lines.
I'm yet to see any like major stories like that, and just for me, there's two things that they've done, right? So there's the kind of, like you just said, the things that's getting through to the, I can't remember what the word you just used, zeitgeist, or the whatever. That was the intent, right? That was the intent. That was a way of saying, we see you going on TikTok and seeing all these videos with how to hack the Disney line, and then calling out and basically saying, you ain't going to be able to do this anymore. In their defense, and it's not really a defense because they're supposed to be better at this shit than anybody else. They're a massive, gigantic organization. It is an entire fucking city full of people that are at Disney World at any given moment. So it's going to take them a while to get this shit together. But what you'd really like to see is that they're trying, and that they're making exceptions to, like you said, people that really need it. And that I worry that an organization that big that doesn't empower its managers on the ground, not necessarily the ones that sit in the nice air-conditioned offices, but it doesn't empower the ones on the ground to be able to apply some really common sense and go, look, I can see that X, Y, and Z, let's make your day much better, and apply that thing. It doesn't mean they're going to do that to everybody, but just have a bit of common sense and use their experience. Like, I assume that most of these people in their job, because they're highly experienced, let them make them decisions.
Chris, you're muted. Talking but muted.
It was a really valid
There we go.
point.
Thank
We
you.
never heard it. We had never heard
Thank
that.
you.
What you had to say to me about that.
I agree with you, Tommy, and I think we did see people abusing it. And like, we saw some lady who was like, and I forget what it was, and I don't want to misrepresent what it was, but it was a condition that, or what if I have a heart attack and die? You know, I'm susceptible to heart attacks or fainting or seizures or whatever it was. Well, you can have a seizure,
and it's not like
in a fast pass line.
It's not like there's a sign at the front that says, if you have this condition or this condition or this condition, you shouldn't be riding this ride. You know, and we, like, how many sort of dozens and dozens of stories of people that actually happens, like they disregard those safety rules.
Yeah, they get off a mission space and they drop dead.
Or something like that. But they're the same people that are being so loud about, oh, I've got this and like I need to wait 20 minutes less or I'll die.
And that's the thing, is I think, and when it started to break through with the normies, people thought a DAS would get you a 5-minute, 10-minute wait, you'd be on, bing, bang, boom. And that's not the case. We see that Lightning Lane line many times stretch out to 1 hour plus. So just because you get a DAS does not mean you're going to get a 5-minute wait. You could be waiting half an hour to an hour for some of these more popular rides during busy times. So whatever condition you have will not be alleviated just because you're in a DAS/Fast Pass line. You're still going to be waiting quite a long time.
Wasn't it, as a percentage of a park's attendance, wasn't it double digits who were under the DAS scheme or something like that?
I think Ryan said it was
25%.
Yeah, and then the Fast Pass line was 60%.
Yeah.
No, I mean, as in the total, like, say, Magic Kit or EPCOT can take 100,000. There was something like 20% or 25% were all DAS or something.
I think it was
ridiculous. 30%. Fucking hell. So obviously they had to do something about it.
Right.
You can't operate a business that works like that, can you?
But people were attacking others. Well, people were attacking others for saying, I think it's being abused, where you're an ableist, you hate disabled people, you hate people with autism, all these weird things were coming out, these accusations, because you weren't just automatically approving of everyone who's got restless leg syndrome getting a DAS pass.
100%. That happened to me. I got called an ableist a couple of times, and it was like, when I was literally saying, the people who need this are suffering as a result of these massive long queues. Yeah,
because you're clogging up that queue. Ableist. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because the people that have those conditions that actually cannot wait that long were waiting longer, and that just wasn't fair. So,
yeah. All right.
Well, what's
number
next?
4?
What's next on this exciting list?
Number 4 for the year, and I think this is where I'm going to trip up Ryan a bit, because I think he thinks I'm just going to do a general D23 cluster, and I'm not. We're going to break up some of these D23 stories from August, and one of them, at number 4, is Tommy's favorite form of themed entertainment, and that's cruise ships. Disney announces we'll have 4 new cruise ships coming on board in the next few years. They are doubling the size of their fleet with one stroke of a pen. And that's 4 new ships coming on board between 2027 and 2031. Tommy, what's it going to take to get you on a Disney cruise?
You know what? Just to spite you, because you were going, oh, don't be surprised if they sell the golden shower or whatever it was called, that the Asian... Sorry, we've been talking about Trump too much, and now that's in my head. But I know that's what it's called. But for now on, that's just code name Golden Shower. You were like, don't be surprised if that one doesn't happen. And didn't that one drop with all the other new ship announcements? I feel like
a year later.
To spite you, I might just get on a plane and go out to Asia and just go on that one.
I'll go with you. I'll go with you. You have to look at the timing of when Disney does things and the current environment and economy where they're doing things. And I made that prediction when they were trying to offload a lot of big assets and a lot of big liabilities. They're still looking to sell ESPN. This is 2022 when I said that, and that's when things were not looking good for Disney. And they were deeply trying to recover cash and save cash. So... But we got the announcement 2 years ago of them spending however many billions in CapEx, and we said more than half of that is going to go to cruise ships. Don't think you're going to get 4 new e-tickets in Hollywood Studios, because you're not. You're going to get a lot of new cruise ships, and sure enough, this year they announced a lot of new cruise ships.
But the annoying thing is, the thing that frustrates me is, it's that kind of that proven formula that with new rides and shit like that if you spend the money, you will reap the rewards from doing that. And now they clearly saw that with cruise ships. They saw that market demand increasing. They spent the money, and they're going to be like, in the next couple of years, they're going to be like withdraw. What's the word I'm looking for? Reaping the rewards, like handsome rewards from spending money on the things that people like. It's the same with the theme parks, and I also think with probably one of the stories that we're going to be covering a bit further up the list, it's the same thing. It's like too little, too late. If they'd just been as bullish and bold as Comcast had been in the same time period that when they went through exactly the same market conditions, then we'd have this list would be way more exciting. We could talk about the cruise ships because it'd be exciting, but then there would be a whole bunch of other stuff to follow it up, and it's just like, how can they get it so right with the cruise ships, but so wrong with the parks? For themselves and for us as users.
the Disney Treasure just launched, and that looks amazing.
The Disney
want to
Wish
go on a
just
Disney
launched,
cruise now.
and now the Treasure is launching also. It's incredible.
The Wish was the oldest one, isn't it?
No, the Wish
You mean
launched this year also, with the big slide in the middle.
Oh, okay.
We got the Wish and the Treasure this year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Treasure is amazing.
And there's speculation that we think just this week we got news that they just signed an agreement with a shipyard in France for 4 more ships in addition to the 4 they announced this year. And the Wish and the Treasure. They are pushing all their chips in. And I'm telling you, I told you this last year, they're going to spend $100 billion in CapEx right to the cruise lines. It's a profitable industry. It is super duper profitable. Royal Caribbean is hitting all-time highs with their stock price, so is Carnival. The spend per guest is amazing. And Disney did this thing where they chased people away from Orlando, from expensive, overcomplicated Disney World vacations, and cruising is where everyone is moving their vacation dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for me, and then, like, I'm probably going to be a bit of a sick in my mouth when I say this, but the beauty of cruising is that it's brainless. You get on the ship, for the most part, you don't have to worry. Like, you get up and go, oh, what shall I do today? Oh, I'll go and do whatever. I don't even know what you would do on a cruise ship, but you know what I mean? Like, you can get up you're like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. Oh, I don't need to get my phone out to do it, to a point.
Or you can do nothing. I want to sit on the back of the solarium and just watch the sea go by in a chair or in a hot tub all day on a sea day. And you can do that. And then at night, you go watch a Broadway caliber show, right? But, 2 steps away from your room.
Yeah.
Everything's right there. And I'll give you this, Tommy. Next month, I'm looking to go on a trip by myself. This is my monthly getaway. And I'm thinking, okay, do I go to New Orleans? Do I go to Las Vegas? Do I go to California? I'm like, no, I'll just go on a cruise because my food's there. It's easier. I can hop on it for 3 or 4 days, hop off. The airport's right there. It's super simple. I don't need a rental car. It's just such a simpler way to travel. When I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be at a private island in the Bahamas.
Yeah, and for all that time, apart from the having to get up at 7 and all the rest of it, they also chased away a lot of Brits because they got rid of the Disney dining. Now, it might not even be, it might be a false economy. And I think for certain Disney dining plans, it is a false economy by the time you factor in the cost of staying on site and all the rest of it. But for a lot of like British families, it's brainless. Like you said, you just don't have to worry about food and all the rest of it. It's all in. You don't have to worry. So I get that which is, again, like, how can they get it so right and yet so wrong in their parks, where the kind of the blueprint that they are now kind of using for the ships, they've kind of abandoned for their parks. It's just, I don't get it.
I'll tell you this now, they're starting to adapt some of those dangerous theme park mentalities in the cruise industry. Even Royal Caribbean, my favorite, is where, of course, it's getting more expensive. That's to be known. But it's also getting a bit complicated. Disney is putting these amazing theme bars on their ships. Haunted Mansion, Tiana, Star Wars bar. And they fit 10 people on a cruise ship with 4,000 people. And you got to get your phone out.
Secret menu.
You got to do a reservation. You got to ahead of time.
This Haunted Mansion bar has like these games you got to play to unlock the secret menu on the tablet.
Complicated. And you got to... And the food quality sucks in Disney. The food on Disney cruises are awful. I've been on a few Disney cruises. I have left each one having lost weight because the food is so bad. The food quality is terrible. And if there's one thing I want on a cruise, it's decent, good food so I can eat my ass off all day. And even Royal Caribbean.
Early enough for breakfast?
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. I get up at 7 in the morning. When I travel alone, I'll do two dinners. But the quality of the food is going downhill. And they're doing these tricks where Royal Caribbean has taken their main dining room food and their buffet food, and they've lessened the quality intentionally. They've made it worse on purpose so they can drive you to booking an expensive, upcharge specialty dining restaurant. So they're adapting those theme park mentality
Yeah.
onto the cruise ships. It's very dangerous.
So for me, that's what I would be worried if I was into going on Disney cruises the past 10, 15 years, that you get that kind of Orlandification
Yeah,
of the cruise ships, which does sound like it's already starting to happen. Again,
it's happening.
what a lot of people are kind of unaware of is that for many businesses, COVID was a perfect excuse. A perfect excuse to be lazy and to cut costs and to come up with all sorts of excuses that can go, well, the pandemic, supply chain, we can't get the staff. Like, no, you're not filling them roles like you probably were before.
Especially in
we
travel.
can't clean your
Especially in
rooms.
travel.
We can't clean your rooms. Now we're cleaning your rooms every other day because we can't get the staff. Like, how many more years are they going to be using that as an excuse for?
I told you guys, I was in Orlando with my daughter. We stayed on site at Disney World. I paid the premium to stay on site at Disney World at a moderate. They didn't touch our room for 3 days. We went 3 days in a moderate hotel without room service for 3 days.
Yeah, that's trash. Literally.
So it's just, and that same thing is happening on cruise ships now, where your room was cleaned twice a day. It's not anymore. It's once a day, which for me, I don't care. I'm not some diva that needs a clean room 24/7.
Twice a day.
Nope,
Royal
once a
Caribbean.
day. Nope, once a day.
Come on.
Once a day. And again, for me, I don't care, because I'm not making a mess in my room every day. I don't mind. I just want, it to be clean for my kids in the evening when they come home, or when they come in for a nap before dinner or after dinner. That's my only thing.
So what's the second visit? Just turn down service. So it's that's more like yachting.
Yeah.
Like the
Nope,
turn down service.
you get one visit. One visit. Used to get two visits a day.
I think if you buy a suite or a better room, upgraded room, you get turned down service.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the what do you call it? That kind of the class system. That's like the Titanic class system coming back in, isn't it? Let's be honest.
So they call that a ship within a ship, and we see this now. I was just on Norwegian a few weeks ago, where there's the ship itself, and then you can buy access to a special adults-only club, the Haven or whatever it's called. Or this ship that I was on had two different upcharge areas with an upcharge pool and an upcharge bar that you buy access to, a special club you buy access to, and they call that a ship within a ship. The concierge lounge, the diamond lounge. So we're starting to see that class system work its way in to, sure, you paid to get on, now you got to pay even more if you want access to this pool or this hot tub or this menu.
And you know what? The thing is, right, this is just from my experience. I don't know if it's a British thing or what, but in my experience, you knew people that went on cruises, but you also knew that cruises, and this is before any of these changes that you're talking about, Chris, before any of this upcharge, that cruises were an expensive luxury, that it was worth it, but it was an expensive, for most people, out of their price range to do. Is that still the case? And then you're just getting more upcharge on top of that?
No, cruising now is more expensive than ever. For the most part. I mean, but also, as Americans, we have more, despite what people might tell you, we have more disposable and discretionary income than ever. As middle-class Americans, we have more than ever. So you're seeing cruise ships sell out. The prices continue to rise for most cruises now. There's Carnival, which is a floating garbage can, which I would never set foot on. That's a whole different story. But I'm looking at one for next month for a friend and I to go on. And it's a 4-nighter. It's about $900 for an inside room, inside, no windows, for 4 nights, $900 for the two of us. So,
which ship?
I think it's the Carnival. It's the Royal Caribbean. It's the Liberty of the Seas, I believe. So one of the older ships too, not a very new ship, but one of the older ones. But then Eric and I are going to be in Mexico on a 6-nighter out of Los Angeles next summer. And I paid for 6 nights about $2,000 for 6 nights, I think it is. So, and for me, it's a deal. That same cruise on Disney would be about $4,000 or $5,000 at least, on an older ship, on a Magic or a Wonder.
Yeah.
All right. What number are we up to here? Let me look.
We're down to 3, I think.
Right?
Three left to go. All right. This might make some of you angry, but this is where we're going to put it. Number 3, we had a ton a ton of updates and videos and pictures and official looks from Universal for Epic Universe. We have a much better idea of what's going into this park and what it's going to look like now in 2024. Ryan, what's your highlight from what we saw this year of what's coming with Epic?
Definitely Monsters, but now that they unveiled all the Ministry of Magic stuff, wow. I think that is where I'm going to be spending the most of my time.
Did you see the sneak video that came out a couple of days ago from inside the ride?
Yeah, it's quite detailed. There's
massive.
Was I not telling you for so long, guys? But no one wanted to hear.
Show building is 70 feet tall or something.
Jesus,
it's insane.
Yeah,
massive. Tommy, what are you looking forward to?
Next level 2 for Ministry.
What am I looking forward to in 2026 when I'm finally able to go?
Yes.
They finally let us Brits back. It's like pandemic all over again, right?
When you don't have to buy a 14-day ticket to get 1 day at Epic Universe.
Yeah. It was just everything, really, isn't it? Like let's be real. Like, you know that a lot of this stuff to me wasn't brand new. We knew I had, like, just from experience of doing all this stuff for a while, but also there was other ways that we knew what was going in and what the general look and feel of the park is. And even despite that, when they dropped all that stuff, a lot of that artwork I'd seen, the model I'd seen. However, there were certain elements that was just didn't convey like how great it looked, like the end result that they dropped. And it was still a magical time, like, to experience all that stuff dropping. Like, you know, when they first dropped the first one about the hub and all the rest of it, and everything after that, it was so exciting, even for someone that had been literally in the fine details of the smallest, tiniest, geeky little thing in the plans and the permits for so long. It was still super exciting. So for me, there's not one particular thing that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm so pumped for that. It's just the whole thing, you know, and just the potential as well. The fact that it's going to open with like 70 acres of actual pure guest area for park, for food, dining, rides, space to walk around, which is far more than most theme parks, certainly more than places like Hollywood Studios have got. And yet there's still, like, they can still increase it by about 50%, add 30 acres more of stuff when they want to. Yeah. For me, that's just super exciting. I think probably the area that people have been shitting on the most for the longest, the How to Train Your Dragon Land, to me, just looks so fucking good. It just looks so fucking good. And little details like the fact that Stardust Racers, the lighting package, how good that's going to look at night, how it's just literally going to look like two crazy comets in the night. It's just insane. Like, there's just so many good things. Yeah, but I still think they've probably screwed the pooch on the delivery of the tickets. Like, it's left a nasty taste in my mouth. It really has. So that's disappointing.
I think that's going to open up. I still think they're not letting the whole cat out of the bag yet. There's going to be more tickets dropping before it opens. Different kinds of tickets.
You think so?
I do.
Well, I mean, they know how this first wave.
There's going to be another restructuring for the grand opening.
Are those first wave of tickets sold out already for annual pass holders and whatnot? Are there still tickets available?
There's pass holder tickets available, but not for the first 2 weeks of the.
There's rumors or whatever of the pass holder, you know, the soft opening that we was talking about for a long time anyway. That we felt that it would go into extended previews, just like they did with Velocicoaster. What was the other thing after that where it was in extended previews for such a long time that it did kind of take a little bit of the shine off that in terms of locals, like that they basically got their park to themselves for 2 or 3 weeks, and then after that point, the summer rush, which will still be crazy, obviously, but it might not be as insane as what everyone's worried about, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
maybe, just maybe by the end of the summer, they will drop a ticket that I can make it worth. But what I refuse to do is to do the Disney method, the Disney Genie Plus method of just throwing money at it. I'm not going to throw money at it to get additional days. I just don't see the point. I'd rather just wait until it calms down a bit and go in 2026 than spend the 30 or 40% more of what I would normally spend on a ticket just to go for a couple of extra days. It's still not. That takes the shine off for me.
Yeah.
I know Chris and
All
I
right.
will be there, and
Yeah.
I'm spending to get there.
Wait a
I don't
second.
care.
Wait.
I'll be there
Whoa, whoa,
opening
whoa.
day. I don't care if I only get on one thing. I just want to be
What are your dates,
with my
Ryan? What are your
feet.
dates for that?
The 20th through the 27th
Of June, right?
May.
Oh, shit.
May 22nd is the opening date of Epic Universe.
May 22nd. You said yours are 20th, 27th?
20 to the
Okay.
27th.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. All right. 2 news stories to go. And if you've been paying attention, you should know what they are. Number 2. Speaking of breaking the internet, we got an announcement at D23 that a Monsters Inc. coaster is finally happening. And everyone got really excited for 5 seconds and said, oh my god, we've been waiting since 2008 for this coaster. I can't believe it's coming. Oh my god. Wait, where's it going to go? I wonder where they would put it. Well, they wouldn't close Muppets, right? Like, they wouldn't. There's no way they'd actually close. And then Disney told us 2 months ago, by the way, we're closing Muppets 3D. Ryan, first reaction. Muppet Vision 3D.
I wish they wouldn't, but that park needs it. But we could have put it in Animation Courtyard or anywhere else, honestly. I would have put it in Echo Lake. I would have replaced Indiana Jones with Monstropolis and so many other places that you could have put it. Now we're putting it right next to Star Wars Land. Why? I was hoping on them actually expanding Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and then closing Muppet Vision then. But I'll take it. I'm not that attached to Muppet Vision, and if they preserve it like they said, if they actually keep the film somehow and keep it available,
the film's
I'll
probably
be
not
fine.
going anywhere. I really do. I just think they can just move it to the Lightning McQueen Academy.
They could, they could easily could, but then you're losing show effects and props that have been there since day
But
one.
are they losing them? Because at the end of the day, if you know, Muppets, the building is just a square box, and then there's just a square box around the corner from the reskinned rock and roller coaster. So actually, you could pretty much retain 90% of what was there before, and you've kind of created a Muppets land. I think I wouldn't be so quick to call out the negatives on this. I think there's a lot of positives.
If
Well,
were
and they
to
have all those spare
resurrect-
parts from the Hollywood or the Disneyland version of the Muppets too that closed down years ago.
I'm not that attached to the Muppets. They haven't been funny since Jim Henson died.
Whoa,
So-
whoa. Careful there. Easy.
I
In
think
my-
And they announced that Rock and Roller Coaster is going away in favor of a Muppets. Aerosmith at least is going away in favor of the Muppets, right?
Yeah, which I said for such a long time, and I got told by a bunch of people, no,
Well,
no,
you know
no,
who told me
no.
that. You know who told me that first, don't you? Wait a second. Who was the first person to break the Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster news?
I mean,
Who was the first
was-
person to break the story? Be honest. Who was it?
I have no clue.
Braden.
Oh, was it?
No, he
He
wasn't.
had that
He wasn't.
story before any. Yeah,
No.
he had this before anyone else. Don't do it.
Listen,
No, I heard about
I
that
think they
long
could have
before
easily,
he opened his mouth about that. I promise
No,
you. And I
no,
was dropping
no.
hints for
This
a long
was-
time. I was
This
dropping
was
very
Braden's
subtle-
story.
No, it wasn't. Honestly, I was
I mean,
dropping hints
why
about that for a long time before he said a word.
why cancel the show on Disney Plus if you're going to do that? Do the ride.
Because there's no synergy, despite what they think that there is not.
They're going to be like, "Oh, go back and watch the show we canceled based on this new ride."
That's if that even happens. All right, so Monsters Inc. coaster we know is coming. It's the door coaster. We've seen the mock-ups of it. We've seen the model of it.
Yeah, the
Any
actual
excitement
coaster.
here?
It seems like the actual coaster is going to be built in the parking lot.
Yeah, it is.
And so it's an actual addition of capacity to the park,
Yes.
which is good, needed. And I like this idea since day one. Since we first heard this idea from whoever it was, Jim Hill or Martin Smith, back in
Jeez.
WWE Magic
Years ago.
Like, I've always loved this idea. I thought it would have worked great in Pixar Place next to Toy Story Mania, but this is even better because we get a full-fledged Monstropolis here. Whereas before, we had a half-assed, what's it called? Muppet, it's not even called Muppet's Courtyard, it's called...
Courtyard, yeah.
It's called Grand Avenue. So...
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what they do, whether they make any tweaks to that, because if you kind of fully self-contain that whole thing, you know, where like there's like the gateway into it, like instead of going straight through Star Wars and you turn left and you're into whatever the Muppets thing is that like, what could they do to that, like, that bit on the right? What is it? Like it's like a throwback to the old tour, isn't it?
It's
like
part of the Streets of America.
Yeah, with Baseline Tap House
remaining.
and yeah.
They could leave that, or
how
they could
far?
just...
How far are the two Star Wars lands between each other in kind of that area? And what I'm getting at is if what was Muppets, the Courtyard, is now exclusively Monsters Inc. and it's its own self-contained thing. Is there any way of joining up the two bits of Star Wars, or is there too much in between?
There's always a way.
I think they're going to take that whole area as Monstropolis.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a break between Star Tours and Galaxy's Edge, just like there always was. But
okay.
Yeah. I don't think they can ever close Star Tours. Maybe they will.
It's too much of a capacity driver, and it's still really good. That's the main thing.
They
Still
can
going
always
it's
just
still
keep
good.
They can
Well,
always
they
just keep
update it.
updating those scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, they update it, so that's a win. All right, before we get to our number one story, I want to get to some honorable mentions. Guys, if you have an honorable mention, throw it in here. I've got one to mention, and it's really big. It maybe should have been a top 10 story, but no. And that is the closing of the Galactic Star Cruiser. I never got a chance to spend $9,000 to spend 2 nights in a hotel and then pay for drinks on top of that.
That happened last year. It closed in 2023.
2024.
No.
Was it really?
Its last departure was in like September or October.
Oh,
of
I missed it. I'm sorry. I thought it was this year. Well, then never mind then.
But the dangling
you know what?
might be coming back in some form.
Well, no.
Right?
Oh, yeah,
you know what put this fresh in my mind was Jenny McNichol's YouTube 3-hour YouTube dissertation.
17-hour video. Fuck her is all I'm saying about her.
So that's the honorable mention. Is the 3-hour long Galactic Star? What, you didn't like it, Tommy?
I didn't watch it because she's a whiny little brat. I've had her blocked since she threw a hissy fit. She threw a hissy fit that she didn't get invited by Universal to some media event. She threw a full strop, like not just I didn't get invited. Like I'm talking like a 5 or 6 tweet thread about why she was pissed off that she didn't get invited to some media event. It was like an opening of a ride or something. So no, I've got no time for her, and no, I don't want to watch 3 hours of her of saying.
I like the video, Jenny. I like the video. I thought it was great.
Anyway,
I thought it was fine.
Do you have any honorable mentions?
I do. I have a really big one
from this year. From this year,
I have a really massive one. A really massive one that you're like we keep talking about. is the fact that it's like 95% certain that they're going to build a brand new theme park in the UK. And we dropped the hint of that by the end of like literally 12
Universal,
months
that
ago.
is.
Yeah, but
Universal.
the actual the announcements and the beginnings of it actually happening weren't until this year. So that's one of the biggest stories of the year. We
Yeah.
kind of not neglected to even talk about that much this year. But that is
There,
at
what
the
there hasn't
moment.
been much movement since
Oh, well, there
the
Yeah.
has.
What new
There's
have we
been
learned?
just behind the scenes mostly.
they're at the
Like,
stage. Basically, I think Universal want about 600 million in
Oof.
subsidies, like
Oof.
to help pay towards it. In reality, maybe they'll get half that or two-thirds of that, but they're in the stage of just talking about that money, the subsidy money. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's not just exclusive to the UK. When they were building Epic Universe, they got some subsidies from Orange County and stuff then, didn't they? Like I can't
and
remember what it
Yeah.
Texas
was.
for the kids resort, yada yada yada. Yeah,
Like
everyone
building the
chipped in.
road, like they donated land, and then the county or whatever are building the Kirkman Road extension. It's just stuff like that. But once they get that number settled between the government and themselves, then they're good to go. Like they are the process of the nationally significant infrastructure project, like system that they're going through for the planning is happening. So it's just a case of arguing about the money. Once they're done arguing over the money, we should hopefully get an announcement that it's happening. But that's
Yeah. And for
massive,
those of you
massive
not in the
news.
know, England is not in the best state financially right now. The pound is down quite a bit, so to be asking for 600 million that's a big ask.
Yeah,
Uh, it's politically, what's the word we're looking for? It's politically valuable to give that. Don't forget that kind of amount of money. If they give 400 million over the space of 5 years, relatively for the GDP of this country, it's still actually quite a small amount of money. And for what?
Yeah.
And for to the fact that Universal being prepared to spend something in the region of £3 billion to build this park, the investment, the jobs creation, everything else
yeah,
that goes. And also, let's just remember, like, there is no significant theme parks on the level of Universal in Europe, apart from Europa and a couple of others, but they're still not on the same level as what they're
Well,
proposed.
I mean, you guys had that Willy Wonka thing last year, right? That was pretty big.
Yeah, exactly. Well, apart from that, the second most significant themed experience will be
I
this
don't
this park.
think Americans who are used to Orlando style customer service are ready to go over to England and experience British style customer service. That is a lot more hostile
well, if they just
and
make
laissez faire.
every land is the Harry Potter section, then it will be all in theme. So it'll make sense.
I think if anybody that's gone to a UK park, they're kind of, you get what you pay for, right? In terms of the way it's run and all the rest of it. What I mean by that is, like, you guys and other people complain about SeaWorld. It's that SeaWorld mentality. The staff aren't paid great. They're not treated great by management. They're not respected that well, and that's
Yeah,
what shines through in the customer service. But
Yeah.
if you get a park like that, let's be honest, there's enough people that are super passionate about theme parks in this country. If you get a park that's run well and is full of people that are passionate about and very, very proud of what will hopefully be an excellent theme park, it won't be the same. It's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah, oh yeah,
Ryan, do you have any honorable mentions from this year?
yes. We got confirmation that we are actually getting the Avengers e-ticket, Avengers Infinity Defense at Avengers Campus in Disney's California Adventure.
Against who?
King Thanos.
King Thanos.
Yeah, so Thanos is back. I think there's going to be a lot of cool things about this ride. There's going to be a lot of like agreements made with actors to make appearances with the movies they're filming
What you mean,
coinciding
all
with
the actors that are coming back for
for
reprise
Infinity War or
yeah,
what's it called?
coming
Yeah.
back as different characters, but
Um,
basically coming back.
Doomsday.
Yeah. Doomsday and
What's the Chris Evans?
Evans.
What's the rumor that he's going to be playing something, or is it Captain America? Or they don't know.
I mean, it's probably Captain America. I don't know if they recast him as a villain. That would be kind of redundant.
But isn't it? Have we figured out what it's going to be, or is it going to be Simpsons on wheels?
I think it's going to be like the Peter Pan ride system in Tokyo.
I don't really understand what that is, though. What is it?
It's like Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
It's a Transformers.
Moving
It's
theater.
funny that Disney are jumping on something.
It's like Simpsons, but it moves.
Yeah,
on a track.
Yeah. So they're jumping on something that
hype for
Universal
that.
did 25 years ago.
Right. We're finally getting a complete Avengers of Campus, minus the Doctor Strange show they canceled.
Oh.
It won't be coming back. But another honorable mention, Whoopi Goldberg revealed that back in 2010, she was visiting Disneyland, and she rode It's a Small World and spread her mother's ashes and left them there, and It's a Small World. That was big. Also, Ariana Grande had this public plea to save Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios, which I thought was cool.
Where's it going?
What? Save it from what?
From having the same thing that happened to Muppets happen. Listen, it's amazing that we still have the Tower of Terror that we have at Hollywood Studios.
No, it is not. It's a banger. It's a banger with an hour wait all day. It's not amazing.
A licensed property that Disney doesn't own. It's licensed to CBS.
I'm gonna say once again, and I've already said this. I've tweeted about this. I've probably said it on this show that once we get that once we get the Hollywood. I forgot the fucking name. Aerosmith reskin, and we possibly get what's name back over there. I am going to continually lobby for Muppets Tower of Terror because I think that would be amazing. That would be incredible, and it wouldn't take too much for them to do that.
Yeah,
and the queue that hour-long queue could actually be super fun.
Yeah. Also, new Disney parade coming to Walt Disney World. First time Disney World will have a nighttime parade in, I don't know, how long has it been? A decade since we had Main Street Electrical Parade here. It's called Disney Starlight, I think. And
no one cares.
No one cares. I care. I can't wait for this park to have a parade again in its atmosphere at night.
Yeah. All right.
I love it.
Before we get to number one, Ryan, what was your favorite non-Deadpool Marvel project from this year?
Remind me of what came out this year besides that?
I don't know. Like fucking Spider-Man? I don't know.
Definitely not Madam Web.
Stop it. No.
Definitely not Venom 4 or 3, whatever one it is. What else came out? What else did something come out on Disney Plus?
Agatha. That actually got me looking forward to. Wanted to watch.
It was just Agatha and Deadpool and Wolverine. I didn't finish Agatha. I rewatched Hawkeye recently. That's something fun around the holidays to watch.
So they're averaging one good series a year then, because that was last winter, wasn't it? December.
It was filmed during the pandemic. It was like 2022 December.
I thought it got released. Did it not get released last year? What did they release last December then?
The Marvels came out. Oh, the Marvels. I guess I'd have to say the Marvels. That was this year, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that film. Was it a film or was it TV? I can't even remember anymore. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it follows WandaVision a little bit. But yeah, I think the only Disney Plus thing this year was Agatha. And then last year we had Secret Invasion.
Can I ask? I'm kind of anxious because there's stuff that I would mention, honorable mention, but I don't know if What are we on the number one or not?
Yes, we are.
Almost.
What you've talked about it? Have you talked about the number one yet?
No, he hasn't.
No,
He
not yet.
hasn't
We're
revealed it.
approaching it.
Okay. Did we talk about the fact that Disney avoided being essentially greenmailed? Because that's not going to be the number one story, is it? It survived that hostile takeover from that douchebag, Peltz,
Yes, that's probably the number one.
or the Arcid. That can't be the number one, surely.
Well, I'm guessing it's Peltz. If we're guessing what number one is.
You're guessing Pelts. Tommy, is that your guess also?
I think it's going to be the. I feel like it's the. I don't know.
All right, our number one story from 2024. We got the announcement at D23.
Yeah.
Villains Land in, Rivers of America out, Cars in, Nostalgia out. That's our number one story. They're killing Rivers of America, Tommy. You want to talk about Nelson Peltz and they're getting rid of Tom Sawyer Island? Get out of here.
Yeah, they're not on the same level, are they? I know, like, I completely agree with you in terms of like, in terms of like in the bubble or whatever. But in terms of existential threat to Disney, the fact that like literally the company nearly got completely taken over and broken to pieces.
Wasn't even close. That was never going to happen. That was never going to happen.
Or
that
the
was
fact
no.
that they was
You
at
took
war.
the bait.
They was at war with the governor of the state, even despite being the biggest employer in the state. They was at war with the governor of the state, and then somehow managed
they
to
fought 2 wars this year.
de-escalate that.
No.
But none of these compared to the fact
That was all political theatrics.
that a 20-minute fucking boring boat ride that does a fucking figure of 8 is the end of the world. Like the sky's falling because they're filling in a boring
and an
boat
island
ride.
you can walk on. They got a barrel bridge.
They're
There's a
destroying
fort.
history and paving it in. They're
They're
destroying.
killing Frontier America.
They're destroying our Florida swampland. The area that looks nothing like a river because the water is just stagnant swamp water.
The annoying,
With alligators in it.
the ironic thing is like once they do all that, and once this land, this Cars land is built, then there's probably going to be, I know there will be kind of, you'll end up kind of exploring in terms of making your way to almost exact same space that the island was on, and there's clearly going to be some bits and bobs there for you to explore, and like we do, all of us collectively shit on Disney and Imagineering quite a bit. But I think this is the one thing where I think they're actually probably going to do an okay job of kind of enough, what's the word? Enough homage to what was there before, but still make something new and exciting and different for the land.
I'm so
which one is
for this.
I'm a bit slightly more cynical on villains because I just don't know how you. It's like I can't think of another example, but it's just like. It's one of them things where no one's ever going to fucking agree on what it should be. Like, if you ask a certain question,
exactly
like,
the problem.
What's your classic Disney animation movie? And for some people
are getting expectations up.
It'll be Walt Disney's classic. Some people will be Disney Renaissance. Some people will be Moana. Like,
that's
it's one of
exactly
them
the problem
things
they
I
had
just
with New Fantasyland.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
Like New Fantasyland, it met nobody's expectations. Nobody wanted the main attraction to be a giant restaurant.
And I think going back to the conversation about Epic Universe and like you mentioned monsters, Ryan. For me, what Universal have done well is they've just gone. We're going to include all of the classic monsters, and that's it. Like they're just doing it their way. They're not. Yeah, they will by just the fact that a lot of the fan base are into it, but they're not too scared to like just go for it and just do their own thing and go, right, this is what we're doing, like it or not. And a lot of people will like it, but they're just doing their own thing with that land. And I wish Disney would be a little bit more bold about that kind of stuff and just do it in that same way and go, right, just pick 1 or 2 villains, go, right, this is what we're going to do, and actually make something.
but
Do you know what I mean?
they
The same
they
way,
are more in the business of trying to please everyone, and just like they don't
yeah,
have to. They can
by
just
trying to
sit
please
back and keep
everyone, you
collecting the
please,
money.
yeah, by trying to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one, and you just,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that,
I'm
Chris?
liking this cars concept, the mountain. I think it's going to be a lot more gorgeous looking than what we have now, which is, like I said, a swampy island.
Yeah, but my biggest criticism of that is these fucking um driverless, sorry, these trackless cars. I think that is like,
Yeah,
I know, like, what's the word? In terms of rhetoric, 100%, it makes sense, but the reality of it is just put it on a fucking coaster track because it will be reliable. It won't go down in bad weather. It won't, all of the things that are going to cause this ride to be down for 1 or 2 hours a day. It's just going to be rise repeated. I can see it now. It'll be a great ride that works the first week, and then after that, it's going to be down.
I
You'll
think
be
they'll
playing
take
for
their time.
downtime for hours.
I think
Whereas
they'll
if
take
they,
their time with it. I think they've got this nailed. The trackless thing doesn't worry me too much, especially if it's not that fast moving. It doesn't seem like it's going to be whipping around the track. It's just going to be going around 20, 30 miles an hour at most. Most of the time, probably averaging like 12, 15. So it's more about the off-roading experience than the speed. And I think that trackless has come a long way, especially like these big tired vehicles. It's hard for them to like lose their positioning as opposed to what they tried before indoors with Rise of Resistance and Mickey's Runaway Railway, where they were just trying to do all these weird things with the vehicles, have them go all these different directions. This is just a track, you know?
well, I don't know. I can't see it. And also, just from a, I wonder what happens in terms of insurance and ops and how it gets engineered to the point where it's just like it'll either be really slow and then disappoint a lot of people on that, or it just won't work. I think probably it will just not work, but
I think
that's
it'll be
that's
fine.
just based on what Disney have been doing the past 10 years, that they have
I
these
think
big
it'll be
ideas.
lacking in I think it'll be lacking in show. Like there's only going to be a couple show scenes if any. So this story will be hard to follow. That's
So
my
it's just
biggest
going to basically be test track, then, isn't it? Let's be honest.
test track, but slower.
But slow test track.
Outdoors
ATV
wilderness theme.
test track ATV edition.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Fine with me. It's better than the Tomorrowland Speedway. Um,
But they're not getting rid of that. That's the ironic thing.
yeah, they need to get rid of the
So they
Speedway.
won't touch.
Yeah, they need to do something with that next.
Yeah, I don't think
That's
they
the
can
next thing in
touch that.
Magic Kingdom that
They
needs to
can't
go.
touch that because the problems they had with Tron, that's in the same area, and there's probably a very, very good reason why they can't build anything significant there.
It's because I've heard because of the utilidors, but I don't think they go directly under there.
No,
And there's locker
I
rooms
think
and stuff.
that area of land is riddled with issues. Well, they
Yeah.
couldn't build anything major on it. I think maybe if they built
All
like
right,
a
Ryan, I'm gonna let
boat.
you wrap up and take us home here because I got a crying baby. So if you want to close us out, be
Okay.
my guest. No
Well,
pun intended. Sorry.
Tommy still wants to talk about his Europa trip.
We'll
Right,
get to it later.
let's say goodbye to Chris now. Let's all say goodbye. We can just add this on, and maybe we'll do this as a little bonus chat with just me and Ryan. We can put it out another time.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that works.
Yeah, I'll stay
I
on
want to
for a
hear
bit
all
longer.
about the hedge mazes.
Okay, Chris, go spend time with your family.
This kid is not happy. All right, we'll see you all next time.
Oh man.
You got to leave this audio in of him having a
Oh,
fit
yeah.
back here.
Yeah,
He doesn't want to hear
come back
about
in
Europa.
2025 for more of this, guys.
It's
All right,
I
bye,
got
Chris.
logged
You
off.
go.
I'll see you guys.
See you later, Chris.
Bye.
Bye.
because he hasn't been on a cruise in so long. The kid is yearning
No,
for another
no wonder
cruise.
he's taking a holiday for himself 12 times a year.
Yeah, right. Without them. But anyway, on to your Europa trip report,
Yeah, so
which I'm
little
not too
bonus
familiar with Europa. I'll be honest.
bonus bonus episode for everyone.
Yeah, bonus for Patreon
Yeah,
subscribers.
for all two of our Patreon subscribers. So it's just Chris's mum and I don't know, Len, Tester's probably the only two people on it. But yeah, for them. Well, what can I say? So, Europa, it's in Germany, but I had to fly. Well, I flew from London to Switzerland to this
Oh,
weird little airport that's basically on like the border of three countries, essentially. So when I landed, I came up, baggage reclaim, customs, and all that, and there was two exits, one to exit to France, one to exit to Switzerland. So I've taken the exit to France, trying to get this bus to the train station, and I was in the wrong country. I couldn't get the bus from France, so then I had to go into the terminal, up and along, and then back down the other side of the border, the fence, and then I was in Switzerland. And then I get a bus from Switzerland from the Swiss side of the airport to Basel train station. And then when I get my train, it literally just pulls out of the train station, and then all of a sudden I'm in Germany. So it's pretty mad.
is the train ride like nice? Is it a
It was all right. I mean, this one wasn't. It was delayed, and I missed my connecting train. But yeah, it's quite nice. It's in like the valley of the River Rhine, right? So it's
Hmm.
like it's Germany's not bad. It's not. There's parts of Germany that I'm sure are much nicer. Where I was just kind of sort of in the middle. But yeah,
Yeah.
Germany's nice. I just like being in Germany. I like being back there. I like the
Hmm.
people. Um, just everything about it. So basically, cutting a long story short, I got to my hotel. I pretty much dumped. This was like 4 p.m. on the first day. I was delayed by about almost 2 hours, longer than what I expected. Dumped my bags. Went basically said to the concierge or whatever, like, how far is it to get to the park? Because it closes soon. I just want to go check it out. And she's like, oh, it's 10-minute walk, and it was 10-minute walk. And I don't think there's any comparison in America, but essentially it was this tiny little town, this little no little village. Like I just walked through. It was like it reminded me of some of the little towns that I'd been in Holland, in the
Hmm.
Netherlands. Like just these little quaint little houses, and then essentially the town's kind of just built around the park. So I just followed this road, circled round the back of the park, and then got to the entrance. And then yeah, I got there, and bear in mind that I was going in October, but the weather was really nice for this first night, and it was like almost like a for the UK like a late August evening. It was warm, it was sunny, it was humid, it was really nice, and just had the best 2 hours I pretty much had in a theme park for a very 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 long time. Like and sort of first impressions, it's just this lovely little. It's kind of like how would I describe it? Port of Entry, Islands of Adventure,
Yeah.
just a bit more Germanic. Like
Right.
it was so cute. It was like literally like a miniature Islands of Adventure with Main Street of Disney World thrown in. It was just so cute. And then I was obviously going like about a week before Halloween or so, 2 weeks before Halloween, and there was just like it was all decorated with Halloween stuff, but it was like real pumpkins, like not these fake plastic,
Yeah.
like synthetic things. It was just everything was real, everything was authentic, and it was not crazy busy. It was buzzing, but it wasn't like horrendous. Like when you
Can't
first
walk.
step into, like I posted a video this week, or part last week of just me on the monorail into Magic Kingdom. That first bit, and you're like, oh, it's just so like magical. You pull up on Magic Kingdom, and then you set foot in the park, and it's just like the biggest anxiety attack ever because it's just so stressful.
Yeah. It's a
You
sea of humanity.
you know what I mean? Like it's so magical when you first walk into
Yeah.
to Magic Kingdom, and then bam.
It's
crying
like the train
babies.
station. Train station hides like the ugliness for a minute, and then you go
Yeah,
under, and then you're like hit with the worst reveal of all time.
yeah, and then so then I've walked into this park, and then like you just go around the corner and you get to like the obviously if, for those who don't know, like Europa Park is Mack Ride's kind of prototype theme park. They started building all their prototypes for their rides before selling them to other places, but they actually spent money on theming and making it really nice. So you've got all these different countries. So in that sense, it's a little bit like Epcot World Showcase, only done really well. In my opinion, you get that immersive because you're in that particular country for that. It's you're surrounded by that country, and you've got all
Yeah,
these cute rides and like all this just stuff. And you walk in. I mean, like one of their just round the corner into their Italy bit, and then you've got their basically it's Spaceship Earth, the
hmm,
same, the same golf ball, slightly smaller, but they've got a
right.
roller coaster in that. They've got this really cute little roller coaster inside that, and I was tempted to go on that, but I blew past that one. I went straight onto their Silver Star, I think it is their Giga. Oh man, like if anybody loves Mako, it's as good, if not better than Mako. I just was like, that was the first thing I did, and like obviously this is October, so this is how many months? Almost 6 months since I'd set foot in a theme park, and I'm going on a big ride. And I've got this weird thing, but when I go on a roller coaster, I have my watch. When I go on a roller coaster, unlike most people where their heart rate increases, mine drops. Mine went down to like 50 beats per minute. I was so relaxed. I was like, oh, I felt like finally chilled out. And then I went round and I did Blue Fire, which is amazing. And it got me really excited for Stardust Racers.
That one launched.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's their launch one. And I know it's not the same as like Velocicoaster, like the kick in the back that you get on Velocicoaster, but everyone's like, oh, Muck's launch isn't that good. For me, I thought it was great. I just thought it was a really, really nice launch. Um, yeah, and then I think I went on their wooden coaster, and bear in mind that the last time I went on a wooden coaster was original Gwazi, and
Okay.
that didn't end well for me. I had to I had to sit down for a good 20 minutes after. I felt like my spine was rattled from literally arse to neck. But this one, oh my God, it was such a good ride. Like such a fun coaster. How wooden coasters you'd expect them to be. It was just so fun. Um, just trying to think. And I did a few other bits and bobs, but just I wanted to point out to a few, to anyone that's listening that I felt that you've been going. How long have you been going to Disney parks, right?
Since 2005.
Okay, so the crowd's probably started getting a bit busier there. But you know when people talk like they get all misty-eyed and talk about how great the late 90s was, how
Yeah.
great it
Oh, I
was.
felt that back then too. Like back in the paper fast pass days, it was still manageable. Less attractions overall, but um, there was definitely, and it was much less expensive, obviously, so you could enjoy yourself more with less crowds.
Yeah, so I felt that this park was when people talk about how the crowds were less because they were. We know this for a fact that in 1997 the attendance of the Disney World was about half of what it is now, right? So we know that there was much less people in there. However, there was plenty and plenty of rides for everyone. Like I think one of the first ones I did was their version of Soaring. By the way, the Eiffel Tower hasn't got a kink in it. It's pretty straight
Mm.
because you fly over it from the top down. So they thought about that.
Yeah.
It's just their flying theatre ride is just so good, so good. Um, there's there's just so many rides for all ages. Like Chris could take like we could go on a trip with him and his family, and you and I and Chris could go off and do all the grown up rides, and then Chris could go off with his kids and take them on. all of the rides for their age demographic. I could take my nieces and nephews, all of them. They're all different ages. They range from like 4 till 16, and I could take all of them, and they'd all be catered for. There's just something for every child and
Yeah.
adult of all ages, everywhere you go, every land. Cute little, you know, roller coasters, cute little, just so many, everything, like the whole range of the ticket book, not just e-ticket and nothing
Yeah.
else. Like I
They
said,
have haunts too.
yeah. So in the around the park, obviously, they had all these. They had like them corn characters. I don't know if you've seen this. It's something they put in like Energylandia as well. I don't know if it's a thing in other parks, but like fiberglass corn, like cartoony, like corn characters, like Halloweeny kind of
Okay.
characters. They had like kind of creepy skeletons, like almost like the carriage in front of Haunted Mansion, with skeletons like driving the car and stuff like that. And there was a late night horror night on certain nights. I think that they were running, and also
Yeah.
when you walked into the Italian area, they had a proper Halloween show, a free show, like that was running a couple of times in the evening. So I literally walked into a proper stage show, and yeah, some of it might have been in German or whatever, but it was, I think actually, no, it was in English, but it was just really like there was entertainment everywhere you went. There
Right.
was rides everywhere you went. Like it was just so good, honestly. Like I, on this trip, I was gonna buy like a 3 day ticket. In the end, a 3 day ticket would have cost me about £180 or something like that. In the end, I got a annual pass for £250,
Mm.
which also gives me loads of free entry to a whole bunch of other European parks.
Yeah.
Um, I think including Efteling, which is a big
Oh,
one in Holland.
I want to go there.
What was the other one? There's a bunch of them.
It's
Some of
a
the really,
Fantasia Land.
I think that's it. I don't know if that's no Phantasialand's in Germany, so that's their direct rival. But
Oh,
I think it's what's the one where the Ride to Happiness? The spinning Mac ride. What park is that?
yeah. I don't.
Plopsaland.
Okay.
Yeah, Plopsaland. There's even ones in UK. There's like Blackpool or something like that. But there's this whole bunch of other ones that I can just turn up and go in for free. But at the end of the day, I came away from this trip like thinking, when am I going to be able to book again? Like I'm probably going to go when it reopens after winter for March or April time. I think
Good.
maybe even May. But yeah, like I've left the thing that's been living in my head rent free until last. I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, there's just so much to do. Um, for me, my only negative was I had a migraine on the second and third day, and it just kind of killed my trip a little bit. But that's no fault of the theme park. And it was a little bit cold. The weather turned a little bit uh, not so great, and because I had this migraine, I didn't get a chance to check out the water park, which was really affordable and it opened till 10 p.m. So even though the itself was closing at like 6:30, I could have gone to the indoor water park in the evening until 10 o'clock. And the ticket, I don't know what it's like in the US parks, but the price of the water park got cheaper the later you went into the park. So if you went in at 5, you were paying one price. If you went in at 7, you was paying
Yeah.
even less.
Yep.
But yeah, the one thing that I need to talk about is Voltron. Like, it's just it's up there with a Velocicoaster.
Okay. Is that the
In
one with like the Tesla coils?
Yeah, so I posted it. I don't know if I sent it to you guys in the group
Yeah.
chat, but yeah, the queue, the indoor queue has got these Tesla coils that are tuned and they play a song, like a tune
Right.
that's the theme tune for the ride. Um, and this coaster was dispatching at 36-second intervals. So it was doing, I think it was like 1700 an hour. It was
Wow.
insane.
What was
Uh,
the wait time?
I waited about 35, 40 minutes.
So it would be around like 45 minutes to an hour most of the day.
Yeah, it was posting about an hour, and then the equivalent to their virtual queue was going straight away, so you couldn't get one of them um, for love nor money, but it had some element of that, but not as much as what you get in like the Disney parks. Um, it was showing an hour, it was showing 15 minutes, it was showing 45 minutes, it was showing a whole range of times, but there was a lot of people still at the park. Even though it didn't feel like there was a lot of people, there was
Yeah,
still a demand all day. But it's just the fact that the ride is so good that it's got so many people queuing for it. Because
yeah,
I honestly felt about when I got off it that I'd just get back in that queue and go again. It was that good. So I don't want to give away too much of the ride, but you know when you do a ride and you get to what you think's that like the brake run, you're like, oh, was that it? This didn't have that, right? It had this the halfway point of the ride, you felt like you'd been on a thoroughly like what's the word? You felt like you'd done a complete ride, but what you'd actually got to is the turntable point, pretty much the halfway point of the ride. It does a 180 on a turntable, and you go back and you go into another launch. So by this time, you've already done like two or three launches, um, and then you go into a different section. But you know, the store on Velocicoaster where you're upside down and you're weightless.
yeah,
Honestly, this ride, I felt that for the majority of this ride, I was upside down and floating, like weightless like that. Like there's just so much airtime, and what felt like most of it felt like inverted. Like I
yeah,
can't even explain. Like it's just like it's that same feeling that you get the first time you get off Iron Gwazi or you get off Velocicoaster. You're like, what the fuck did I just like experience? I don't even know. It's
yeah.
just like I can't explain it. It was just, I'm like, what is this? And I went on it, I think twice. And even after the second time, I'm just like, I don't know what I just did, but I loved it. Like, and my biggest regret was because I had that bad migraine that I didn't just, I had the time, I just didn't go and queue up one more time and go on it again. But it's got that you want to go back on it, like nagging feeling as soon as you get off of it. And it's just up there. And just the general area that's been put in, it's really nicely themed. It's I would say it's probably a little bit less in terms of theming than Velocicoaster because it had a whole section where it was outside, but it is beautifully themed for what it is. It's just fantastic. Like I can't recommend this part enough, honestly. And I would say to you, if you was to do one theme park, if you was coming to Europe and you had one day to go to a theme park in Europe, that would be your park that you should go to because I think it would make you rethink like even the American parks because you were just
It's
like,
it's tough. I would probably choose Efteling first, but I do see Europa as something extraordinary. Did you go on the bobsled one?
yeah, I did, and that was a first for me.
I like the well, I don't think I've ever
I
been on
can't
that.
say it was the I wouldn't be rushing to go on it again,
Yeah.
but it was yeah, it was different. It's just weird going on a roller coaster that's not on a track.
It's like sliding around, yeah.
And as it happened, you know what? I got the front. I was just in the car on my own, and I got the front row, so it just made it even more like, oh, what's going on here? But yeah, it
Right.
was good. Yeah, there's so much that I probably haven't mentioned that,
Yeah,
and
I'd
there's
love to.
probably that sort of what maybe attracts you to Efteling is actually there, and also the one final thing that I should have probably mentioned is their Pirates of the Caribbean equivalent ride is so fucking good. It's so,
Yeah.
so good. It's like, you know what we enjoy about Na'vi River Journey in terms of the quality, and we always say,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's really short." This is like the best bits kind of from Na'vi River Journey, minus the animatronic, but it had animatronics. It had like the Zaddy, like silver fox pirate guy, and this cute little otter character. But it was like that with so many like Pirates of the Caribbean elements, like, and at the end it goes through the restaurant, but
Okay.
their restaurant isn't a fancy one that you're going to be paying fuckloads to be in. Theirs is
Right.
actually a quick service Asian food restaurant that anybody could go and sit in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's just so done so well. Like,
Yeah. It looks great. It looks like, a mixture of Grand Fiesta Tour and Pirates. Um, the sets are, scaled down compared to like real life, but it's still impressive for a regional park,
yeah, I wouldn't,
technically.
yeah, I wouldn't say this is a regional park.
It's like a regional park on steroids.
Yeah, I would say it's more like a small scale international. But it's like it's got so much more than Disneyland Paris. That's the thing. When you
Yeah.
actually like you can call it a regional park all you want, but it's actually in terms of
You'd
the
have
money they spend on theming, the amount of rides, the amount of e-ticket rides, like
Yeah.
the
You'd have way more fun
affordability,
there than Disneyland
like
Paris.
yeah, way more fun. Like literally if it was a choice between going to like Disneyland Paris or this place, I would choose this place every single time. Like, oh, it's just incredible, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's not like me to say so many positive things about like one place either, is it? Actually, there is a negative. I'll give you the negative before we go. The food. I struggled with the food, but I always do struggle with the food. But
Yeah.
it's not to say there's not food for people, but because there's certain things I can't eat, I do struggle. But yeah, it was all right.
Yeah. I'd like to think the cheapest food in America is still pretty good. I don't want to know what the cheapest food in other countries is like.
But their food wasn't. Oh, I went into the gift shop to buy like how much would you say like like a Stein, like a Erdinger Stein, probably this kind of thing that you'd find in the Germany section of Epcot. How much would you
Yeah.
reckon? Like a ceramic, no, a
Like
glass Stein, like
like
a leaf.
if Disney were
Like,
selling an authentic one,
yeah, like I say, it's like a 2 pint Stein made of
they'd
glass. How much would
probably they'd probably charge upwards of $80.
it was 15 euros, which is probably about the same as $15. I had to do a double take. I was like, no, it can't be that cheap. Like I had
And
to go
it's
back and
like
look.
ceramic and like
They had a two like a 1 liter 2 pint ceramic Erdinger one, authentic German beer brand, and they had a glass, like a real chunky um one. Yeah, it was insane. And the only reason I didn't buy it, I really wanted to buy it, was just because I was going to struggle to get it back in my case. But I kind of know for next time. Um, yeah, and I ended up buying like a Europa Park glass, smaller version of this for about 10 euros or something. So just like the merch and the stuff, the food was affordable. Yeah, it was just there's not many downsides to going to this park. It's
yeah,
just yeah. The only thing I'd say is I'd like to go, which I'm going to do. I'm going to go back in spring when the weather's a bit nicer. So it was a bit too European, the weather for me,
yeah,
you know?
dreary, a lot of clouds.
So yeah, that was my somewhat
You sold
vague
me. Yeah. It's the
trip
first
report.
time we've done a legit trip report on this show since who knows when, since Jalen and
Yeah.
yours Florida trip, which I don't even think we released.
No, I don't
But
think so. But
but
to be fair,
anyway,
for me, that's still quite a vague trip. Well, I gave you a little bit of a blow by blow. The first 2 hours I got there, and the rest was just like, yep, check it out for yourself, guys, because I think that's what everyone needs to do with that. So
Definitely.
yeah, okay.
All right. That wraps things up for this episode of our year in review show for E-Ticket Report. You can find us online on Twitter /X at E-Ticket Report. And we're also on YouTube now. So if you're watching the video version of this, thank you. And you can find us on YouTube. Just search the E-Ticket Report.
We should get Blue Sky, really, shouldn't
Video
we?
format. Oh, yeah, we should get on Blue Sky too, since everyone's ditching X. Where can we find you on X/Twitter, Tommy?
You can find me on Twitter at Tommy Hawkins, and I think on Blue Sky is the same, but I can't remember how to search for that. And on Instagram as well, the same.
And I believe I'm the same on X and Blue Sky. I keep forgetting the name. Imagineer6, and you can find Chris Wakefield at Wakefield Report. And yeah, that'll do it. We'll see you next year. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, everyone.
See ya.